Here's an interesting food for thought. How about I give you an option between getting laid off or taking a pay cut? What would you do? And would you be satisfied with the pay cut, or would you then say, screw this, I'm out, and you're going to find a new job? So there's been an article out that said that 1 in 3 Americans would rather take a pay cut than they would actually being laid off. So there's been a survey done of like 1,200 Americans or something like that. And they said they would rather get a pay cut than being laid off. So now I'm going to have a poll up right now and go and vote and see if you guys would agree with this article, right? So we're going to jump into this video and chat about if this is a good call or not, right? So the importance of pay cuts is when you're looking at the economic environment, you can then say, hey, all my team is making, everybody's making 100,000. If I give them all a $20,000-$30,000 pay cut, then I can keep everybody and I don't need to let anybody go, right? Or I need to let 1 or 2 people go and keep everybody else at the same salary. So the huge conflict of dilemma for the employer is if I do that, morale might tank, and then everybody's going to say, oh, just because, we were going to fire 1 or 2, I need to be impacted also. So that is the moral implication of the employer, right? And the complication for the employee is that, oh, I got a 30% pay cut, so I might as well do 30% less work, right? So let me know if you agree with that. And yeah, and let me know if this is something that you would agree, because I probably would. I probably would do that, right? So in a economy environment where we're in right now, where everything is so expensive and everything is just going for top tier dollar, and even eggs are expensive, not the grocery store. Given pay cuts, I feel like isn't the way to go, because then you're actually decreasing the amount of money you earn, and you're actually handicapping yourself with actually future potential earnings, because at this job you made 70,000 or 100,000, now you're doing 70, so it's going to be harder for you to then jump back to 120. At least this is what people in the forums on Reddit have been talking about, because some people say that, right? So layoff trends have been here and they're here to stay, right? There's been so many layoffs, and we're not talking about the job creations, we're just talking about general layoffs, that people have been laid off, and now they're trying to find new jobs just to make ends meet, right? So there's significant challenges in these layoffs, and when you have all these layoffs, then there's people that say, oh, I'd rather take a pay cut and actually not come into the office and do all that. So when you have people that say, I'm not interested in coming back to the office, I'd rather not get a promotion, like there might be people that say, I'd rather not get a promotion, take a pay cut, and you guys just leave me alone and I just do my work, right? So I feel like in the US economy, there's like, when we're talking about job security, there is never really any job security unless you work for the government. If you work for the government, there is job security, right? That's why, people go to the government. If you're working in an environment where there's all kinds of turbulence right now with, AI and layoffs, you might be like, to get some stability, I would take a pay cut. But when you're not making ends meet already and you're living paycheck to paycheck, taking a pay cut would be dramatically different than actually being laid off, right? So this is another question that I have for you guys. If you're already living paycheck to paycheck, and 50% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, would it be beneficial for them to actually take a pay cut to not get laid off? I don't think so. I don't think that it would actually help them, because if you're already not making ends meet, if you're going to make less money, you're going to be even worse off than actually being laid off and then trying to find something new. So let me know what you think about that, because it's a very interesting topic where employers and employees have different, different aspects of, of benefits. And I have no idea if if no, I don't know if employees or employees have it worse, because I feel like if you do it right, you could say something like, "Hey, we're gonna do pay cuts for this and next year and no bonuses, and then we're gonna bump everybody up back to the salary if they're um if the economy picks back up and we can actually rehire. Instead of rehiring people, we're just gonna bump people up back to their original salary." So So another thing is that when you're talking about, pay cuts is retention of employees, right? When you're going to do pay cuts, people are going to be morally dissatisfied, and they're going to most likely gossip and try to do less work. And I would probably be one of them. So if you're going to be the in the grind, in the day-to-day business operations, and all of a sudden they're talking about pay cuts, and if your executive team doesn't also do pay cuts, huge pay cuts, then you're like, why would I suffer for the executives, right? And then there's resentment going on, right? And so then when you have resentment going on, then your company's kind of doomed anyway. So it would be beneficial to actually lay these people off, because when you have resentment and all this kind of crazy things going on in your company, your work culture is going to suck. Nobody's going to want to work for you. And even if they come, it's going to be such a toxic work environment that it's just not a good place to be, right? And I just think it's crazy when you guys in the comment section are saying, we gotta, I'm doing all right now. I'm, have job security at, hospitals and all this kind of other things. And then you see hospitals do huge layoffs, and all these other ones. So there is no thing as job security in 2024. And it is absolutely crazy when job security, used to be like, hey, you're doing a good job, and you get your pay bumps and all that. But now you're like, hey, we need to save money, so we're gonna have to save money at any cost, and we're just gonna, cut you, and we're gonna cut everybody else. And what the what the crazy thing is about that the workload is increasing. So it's actually that you have to do more work now than you did before. So let me know if this is true or not. But I think when you're working in big teams, you need to pick up the slack of these people that are being let go. So you're actually working more for less money already, right? And then if they're talking about, decreasing pay, like by a certain amount, that would actually mean that you're actually working for even less money and have to do even more things. So it's almost like you need to do two jobs and get paid for one. And I don't think that's very fair that you got to do two jobs and only get paid for one. But in desperate times, you got to do desperate measures. And people are always saying, like, oh, they're always are hiring. Everybody's, one company is always hiring. Yeah. But everybody else is applying to that one company. So when you're on LinkedIn, you see so many green work, open to work banners. It's like not even funny. When you're looking at who is here to find work, and there's so many posts, I see them every day. I need a job. I need to get back into healthcare. I'm doing all this. And when you go on the TikTok platform, you see it even more, that people are just screaming that they need to get a job and that they can't make ends meet and that they're in debt. And people are always being like, oh, manufacturing. You got to get a blue collar job. Stellantis, manufacturing job, laid off huge amount of people. And so then you're like, what else? So the only thing that I can see is, becoming an electrician, becoming a plumber, or something like it. And if there's going to be enough people swapping into that, then who's going to, then it's not going to be price competitive either. So what is there that you can still get into that pays really, really well and is somewhat of a decent job? Because breaking into tech used to, like 6, 7 years ago, was hard. And I think now it's even harder. So if you're trying to break into tech, it's not easy. You need to have the right qualification. You need to be networking and sending out your resumes and doing all this stuff. But just networking alone isn't going to cut it and doing resumes. And people have been telling me, you always say you got to be networking and resumes. Until this day, nobody has found a different solution on how to actually get a good job, get a good paying job without doing any of these things. Because you need a network and you need to find a resume, get your resume good, update your resume and actually improve it. So if you have an alternative solution on how to actually better the situation, let me know, because I'm just like, how else do you do it? And one of the other things that I'm kind of interested in is, look, this rabbit. Let's see if I can zoom in. Do you guys see the rabbit? Gorgeous, 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 gorgeous. So one of the things that I always thought was fascinating is that in the economy, there's like no right or wrong. There's no, doing all these layoffs in right now is wrong, right? But in the future, who knows if there's going to be huge hiring sprees again and people can make up for it, right? But right now, it's just so bad and so crazy that it's just inflicting so much pain into all these Americans. And one thing I have not talked about in a little while is the consequences of all these layoffs. And when I'm talking about all these consequences for these layoffs, it's absolutely crazy for these people that are going to have to stay in the job market. So when you are getting laid off once or twice, right, in 2 years, that scars you. And a lot of people, a lot of executives say, I'm going to be out of the job market and in a few years anyways, so it doesn't really matter to me. But for us millennials, it's going to be difficult because at one point we're going to be in leadership. And then what these executives did now is going to haunt us for all these future years to come. What do I mean by that? It's like when you have these executives laying off people and 2, 3 jobs, there's going to be no company loyalty and no no remorse of like, hey, I just got hired and somebody else offered me a better job. I'm out. Not even, you didn't even start day one and you're just like, I'm out. So there's all these things. And I'm not saying that you should have company loyalty, but when you get hired, you kind of should stay like a year or two. But then once you're like, okay, I'm a job hump after 6 months, and then they got to restart the job search again for your position because you found a 10% pay increase. It's going to be, I don't know what that's going to do to the economy and doing to all, these employers. And that's going to also then, switch the wheel again, where before in 2019, it was a employee's job market, right? And now it is a employer's job market where the employer has all the, all the cards in the hand and you guys have none. And somebody also said in the comment section below that 4 job listings are fake, right? We debunked that. 2 of them are scams and 2 of them are outdated. So that leaves us with another few left. And then there's thousands of applications for that 1 or 2 jobs that are left. So I think it's absolutely crazy where we're heading. And people are saying that, after the election, stuff's going to get better. I don't think that the election really matters. I think what's going to really matter is interest rates are going to come down. Because if interest rates going to come down, that's going to further innovation and companies can lend cheaper and we can kind of get back on track. But I think the damage has already been done. And you guys have also said, let's I made a poll and you guys have actually voted and said that 13% of you are actually waiting to buy a house if interest rates drop. And almost like 90% said, I'm not going to be buying. So absolutely crazy stats, right? When you think about it. So yeah, what do you think about taking everything, this whole layoff scenario, and actually um, putting it in a bucket and kicking it down the road and saying, let me just have the next administration worry about it, because you can't just blame politics, even though the president and can elect these Fed chairs and do all that kind of stuff. Um, I think you just gotta we just gotta wait it out. And I hate for people to struggle. I really, really hate for people to struggle. But hey, in 2024, 2025, it's not going to be those pretty years that are going to go down in the book as huge job creations, huge amount of money made, um, huge amount of wealth created for the middle class and the lower class, the for less fortunate income earners. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see what's going to be happening, because even the low income earners, those are going to be even facing harder tasks in the future, because those people are going to be the ones first up on the chopping block with AI innovation, right? We saw it with hamburger joints, we saw it with servers, we've seen it with food runners, with these robots, right? That come and do things. And servers have already been, with, order on the tablet, order here. So, because then they don't need to pay a server, right? And they got these like little rollies now, these little robots that run around from table to table. And they say, pick up your food. And you kind of pick up your own food, and the kitchen just cooks it. And then, sends it to sends your food to the table. So there's all these, innovations coming that is going to help people that don't have a super developed skill set, are going to be really, really hurt. And yeah, it's going to be interesting. The rest of 2024 is going to be very, very interesting, and we're going to see if the Fed is going to make the job market easier or harder. If they keep the interest rates high, it's going to be harder. If they make some rate cuts, it's going to get easier for everybody. So let me know what you guys think about this. I'm not so sure that I'm that optimistic at the moment. I'd love to be, if rate cuts are coming and we're going to see more and more rate cuts, I think I'd be more optimistic. And I think then more and more people are going to be hired. And yeah, let me know what you guys think, because I have not seen it. And who knows what the Fed's going to do. And yeah, this was me for my walk today, and I will see you in the next one.